I will highlight that. And what are the issues of higher education institutions in Nepal? Some I will highlight from my experience, some from some literature. And then what are the faculty's roles in maintaining the quality of higher education institutions? And these faculties I call lanterns, how we can refuel them. So this is what I would like to begin with. You know, this college, this campus, Sukuna multiple campus, and its mother institution, Triveni University, any other university, any other higher education institution is supposed to serve through these three, functions. The first function is, okay. Are you okay? Yeah. He's all right. Yeah, he's all right. Yeah. The first function is the instruction, the teaching. Okay, the teaching. And the second function is the research. The institutions have to be engaged in research and give research outputs to send the society and to build knowledge, and then extension. Now this, out of these three, most of our institutions and most of us who are engaged in them are focused only on the first. You agree? Second, a little bit of that. And then third, very little. But what is extension? Extension is going, in the university, the college, going to the community to work with them. Not to work for them, but to work with them. Also fine. That's why many parents do not see the connection between what their children do at the university and what happens in their community. We are not doing enough to help the communities realize that universities and higher education, all the institutions are for us, for all of us. This is something bad. And I explored what are the agenda, what are the issues that higher education institutions have now, and I found a few things they highlight, the scholars highlight. This researcher says there is an agenda of quantity in two ways. One, the number of institutions we need in the country and the number of institutions we have in the country. How many universities we have now? Running?
28, but 23 reported.
23 reported, okay. Do we need all of them? Have we established them because we need? What is the distribution of the student population in these universities? One university has 400,000 students, the other university has 216 students. What does that mean? Okay, that's how we are running the universities and higher education institutions. And then there are many other, I think 56 institutions affiliated to universities abroad. This quantity is baffling. Do we need? Do we not? Okay? And the other issue with the quantity is the colleges, particularly community colleges, now not having enough students enrolled to them. Quantity issue. And equity, like who is our audience, who is our stakeholder to come to our institution, our classes. Universities do not have, I don't know, they have or they do not have, but equity means higher education is not accessible for many who are willing to take. Okay, higher education is for the well-to-do mainly, there are opportunities, but not in true sense. And quality is interesting. We have scholars coming out of our universities who, when they go outside the country, they shine like anything. But when they are here, where does that shining quality go? Okay, that is one. And the other thing is, our scholars who we produce good knowledge, but the knowledge does not translate into the social transformation. So that is what this scholar is highlighting. And then policies, education policies and higher education institutions, they have some agenda, some issues. And academic freedom. I think this freedom is related to what a faculty can plan and deliver in the classroom. Like, what can we teach? We can teach whatever is given in the curriculum. Not much of freedom, because yesterday you saw in Dr. Wintel's and other presentations that we teach to the test, we teach to the examination. Okay, we prepare students for the examinations. And interestingly, there is a phrase called, I have finished the course. What does that mean, finishing the course? I mean, has it translated into the learning of the learners? And then courses and curricula, yes. And then unemployment. One mechanical engineer who has applied for a university position has been listed as the first what they call Vaikalpik, waiting, alternate, yes, candidate. And then his cousin called me if I can help him to secure the position because he's waiting in the waiting list. I said, how can I do anything? Then later I heard that he is waiting. If the position, if he doesn't get the position, he has a plan to leave the country. That is what we are doing. We are producing graduates, but we are not creating enough employment, or we are not creating scholars, graduates who are capable of, creating their own employment. Employment is another agenda. And then budgeting and financing, that's an interesting issue that we need to think of. And other sources showed a few other issues. I would like to highlight the first one in detail. Comprador intelligentsia. You already heard the word yesterday, and you got the idea. I will give an example. Where is the major trade around here? Bharatnagar or here or where? Where, let us say, they buy and sell rice. Where? कहाँ हुन्छ चामलको किनबेच? Where? Which place? Especially in? No. In here. Where do, in Molam or anywhere, where do the farmers sell the rice, and then where does it go? Okay, I'll give you a picture. There are farmers who produce rice and they sell it, yes? And there are consumers who buy and eat rice. But in the middle, who do we have? Intermediary, yes? Okay. What do? They collect the rice and then pass the rice on to consumers. And then think, who is making the biggest profit? The producers, the consumers, or the intermediary? Now, imagine a situation, not imagine, just think of the situation. Higher education faculties are in the middle. Okay? And and there are consumers or beneficiaries, the students. Yes? Where does the knowledge come from? The knowledge.
Teacher.
I mean, where does the knowledge you teach in the classroom come from? Books. Books. Who writes the books? How many of the books are written by us and in Nepal? Very few. So, what we do? Others produce knowledge, write books and send to us. We read them, make notes and deliver. And what do we get? A salary. How many patents that they made in Nepal? What products they sell? Does this college sell any product? Are the higher education institutions expected to produce and sell products? Yes or no? That's the problem. Universities should first produce the prototypes. Then the industry will take the formula or whatever, and then will commercially or in mass scale they will produce. So that is our problem. Okay, we think that universities are there to give me classes, then the certificate, and then I get a job somewhere. That's all we know. Okay, and then yes. And then sticking to conventions. We know what is the convention, what to do, how, okay, all that. And teaching focus, teaching and, attending classes. And systems are centralized. Where do the questions come from? From the center. Where does the curriculum come from? From the center. And then if there is one open question you ask in the examination, if the university asks, then there will be student strike because the questions came from outside. What does that outside mean? What have we taught? That our students are not ready for one extra question. And then no inputs to state issues. And our government, our prime minister or our cabinet, if they are entangled in an issue, then who should advise them with the way out? It is the academics. But are we doing that? Do the politicians turn to us, the academics? That's another issue. And no focus on local knowledge. We always cite, I've done that. We do this, the foreign people. Okay? And then the knowledge that we produce here is not perhaps so valid that we do not try to count it. So these are some of the challenges there. Who are the higher education stakeholders then? We have students, we have faculty, we have administrators and managers, we have government and regulatory bodies, we have employers and industry partners, parents and families, alumni, local communities and society, donors, etc., etc. But when you come to this college, then the stakeholders are only teachers, students and administrators. Others do not come to the scene much. Okay, forget that issue. But who is in position to strengthen the higher education institution is the faculty. I mean, the major stakeholder are the faculty. You might argue that without the students we can't have. That's another thing. But for the quality, for strengthening this institution, for saving this institution, it is the faculty. What is the investment on the faculties? Let us discuss that. Okay, let me focus on this. What can quality faculties do? If we have quality faculties, what can they do? One, they can deliver quality instructions. They can attract more admission seekers. Universities are only buildings. It is the faculties that make the university a university where people go. You go to any university, you go to Trinity University, Kathmandu University, Oxford University or Harvard, whatever you name, actually you go to a few faculties income from there. Okay, I mean, you interact with some faculties, and if your faculties are great, then you will be a great graduate. If your faculties, I mean, you meet faculties who are not great, you will not graduate as a great graduate. Okay, so it is the faculties who attract more admission seekers, and it is the faculties, quality faculty, who can generate groundbreaking new knowledge. Let us ask ourselves how much knowledge we produced and where have we used that knowledge. And they can engage in the community for extension activities, going to the communities. You know, medical colleges going to the communities, and education faculties going to the community schools and other schools, and then informal, non-formal education activities. And quality faculties can be prepared for the unanticipated. When in 2020 March, Nepal was locked down, quality faculty, institutions that have quality faculties continued teaching, and institutions that did not have quality faculties stopped teaching. That was very visible. So, if that happens, then it will lead to the program sustainability and ultimately helping sustain the institution. So, if quality faculties exist, programs will sustain and the institution will sustain. That's why we must invest on the faculties. Then how do we ensure that we have quality faculties? There are two ways. One is recruitment. When we recruit good faculties, quality faculties, rigorous process. And second, once they are in, then there must be a very, very robust system for CPD, that is continuous professional development for the faculties. What is expected about CPD is a few questions, like what's CPD? How does it happen? How does it refuel the lanterns? The faculties, and who is responsible for refueling them? There are questions. If we ask questions, we don't know where we end. But I have a few things to share. I was trying to see what international perspective do we have. This Giridharan from Malaysia writes very interesting description of how CPD happens in her university. She says an annual event calendar detailing workshops and seminars for the year is designed and implemented by the Office of Learning and Teaching for Continuing Academics. The workshop topics address issues and concerns discussed by higher education academics globally. New academics are invited to the sessions so that they have exposure to the shared and collaborative nature of the seminars, facilitated by senior academics and mentors. Reflective practice is widely employed across higher education in professional context and academic development planning for students and staff. It is also applied within induction programs in professional development for new members of academic staff. So that is the description she gives. One university. We don't know how many others do that, and how many of us do in Nepal. We do, but okay, let us see what we do. But this little earlier, before COVID situation and online, situation, Johnson, described these many ways for CPD: workshops, communities, and then readings, and giving sessions and writing, going for a course, taking new roles and reflection, participating in a project, forming a local group, whatever. And then Diaz Maggioli, he says developing a learning community, peer coaching, and then critical development teams, sharing living theories and developing networks, and etc., etc. So these are a few things from international perspective. But now let us see what our faculties do. Then I have just done a little small, interaction-based study using, small interviews with 10 faculties who are the graduates of Masters in Higher Education program, run in Nepal. And then I just have little quotes and little summarized words that they gave. I asked them two questions mainly. Why CPD and what are you doing for your CPD? So when I asked them why CPD is significant, they said it's for professional development and personal development. And then it's to self-realize who I am. If I do undergo CPD, I know who I am. And the knowledge becomes obsolete. Because if I graduated in 2010, if I teach the same thing in 2025, then perhaps after 15 years that knowledge is obsolete in many fields. New concepts come, you know. And then students are ahead of us. They can access new knowledge ahead of us. This faculty says that sometimes she goes to the classroom and they already know what she is going to teach. Then how does she handle the class? How does she face the students who are ahead of us, ahead of her in the information, in the knowledge that is within the curriculum? So she says CPT helps, and she says, and the other faculty said to develop confidence. To update with the new knowledge in the field. New knowledge comes and I need to be updated. For my growth, teaching skills enhancement, for institutions growth, and for self-development. So mainly they said, I develop, I can teach better, okay? I mean, that is the main thing that they said. Then I asked, how are you engaged in CPD? What do you do, okay? What do you do? Come on. What do you do for your development? Can you share something? Before I show what my participants said? Discuss? Discuss what? Research, okay. Training. Yes?
Critically reflect on good practices.
Okay.
One of the powerful
Okay, critically reflect. Great, yes? Yes? Others? Anything? What do we do?
Attend the conference.
Attend the conferences, yes? Okay, let us see. What do these participants say? One participant used interesting phrase, proactive exploration. Okay? I mean, when do you go to conferences and training? When you have found out, or when the institution says go? Which situation? Or पठाएर जानुहुन्छ कि आफै जानुहुन्छ? Okay. But this participant says proactive exploration. I find out and I ask the institution to help me to facilitate. Okay? Mentoring the new faculty. What do you do when you have a new faculty in your department? Mentor or not mentor? Is there a system of mentoring? No. Huh? आफूभन्दा क्या जान्ने कहाँ हुने होइन ए नयाँले फुर्ती लाउँछ ओके अलराइट अनि उहाँले भन्नुहुन्छ she says because she comes from pharmacy background, she says that new faculties come and they have very little knowledge about assessment, teaching and managing students, so she helps them. And then they take Coursera and other MOOC courses. How many of you have taken at least one MOOC? At least one MOOC. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, okay. 7 हात मात्रै माथि गए. MOOC, massive open online course. I think Bishwa is going to talk about it today. Okay, MOOC and other online. Yes, thanks. Research and publication. Out of 10, only 2 faculties mention this. Research and publication. Okay. And they're regularly attending a training program. That was, a choice for many participants. And they said new degrees. They go for new degrees because usually you enter university with a master's degree or an MPhil degree. PhDs are usually later. Okay, they happen later. So they go for this, but they also go for other master's courses and undertaking projects, applying for projects and then running the project. That also helps them. Three faculties said self-reflection and taking feedback from students. Is that your way? Do you collect feedback from students about how you teach?
Yes, sir.
What's the mechanism?
कार्य सम्पादन
कार्य सम्पादन
त्यो चाहिँ यस्तो हो विद्यार्थीबाट लिने फिडब्याक चाहिँ
अहँ।
कार्य सम्पादन
कसले गर्नुहुन्छ?
त्यो विद्यार्थीबाट लिन्छ
भन्नाले युनिभर्सिटीको लिडरसिपले गर्छ, ऊ टिचरले आफै चाहिँ गर्नुहुन्न।
किन गर्नु?
कम्ती
के?
पढाएको हुन्छ के गर्नु?
कम्ती गर्नुहुन्छ विद्यार्थी जाँदैछ
ओके फाइन। अब मैले इनसाइट के निकालेँ? What insights I got was these faculties are aware of the CPD needs and strategies. They know what is needed and how it helps and all this. And they're engaged in selected CPD activities, not many, selected. I wouldn't say limited, but selected. They have some. But the focus is mainly related to instruction. What I mean is this. Let's remember, what are the fundamental functions of higher education institutions? Instruction, research and extension. But our CPD, faculties are undertaking, are geared only towards instruction and very little to research and not at all about extension. Let me find out here. How many of you are engaged in extension means community service, going out of the university, going beyond the walls of the university? How many of you are engaged on this? In people, there was the East Tribune University, and we came to that place for our masters. And then I saw that there is university inside. नयाँ बजारमा त्यहाँ भित्र के हुन्छ थाहै थिएन क्या। अहिले पनि भनौँ न, त्यहाँ मात्रै होइन, in many areas we have the colleges, तर कलेज भन्दा बाहिरपट्टिकोलाई त्यहाँ भित्र के हुन्छ थाहा छैन। हात्तीबनमा त्यस्तै छ वरिपरि। अहिले अलिकति टाइम बाहिर गएका छौँ, we have tried, but local people even cannot tell the way to the university because they don't know. Okay, so faculties are mainly concerned about instruction, and to help them be concerned about not just instruction but research and extension, CPD is the only way. So only if higher education institutions in Nepal develop and implement a robust CPD to refuel our lanterns, these lanterns, because their fuel is depleting, their sustainable futures. There is a sustainable future for these HCIs. And as Norton says, investing in teachers is the only way. You invest for the building, fine. Invest for the laboratory, fine. Invest on this and that, fine. But unless you invest in the faculties, these teachers, the institutions are not going to grow and then perform as they are expected to. Khania sir says that the most beautiful creation humans have ever done is universities. And त्यसको function चाहिँ के हुन्छ भने नि, only if the main drivers, major stakeholders of these institutions, the faculties, the lanterns, get the best fuel, powerful fuel. This is what I would like to say. Yes. So thank you so much. If you have any questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very distinguished discourse. I'm not very used to it. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to be in Sukunamari campus to discuss different issues, and this time I'm here to talk about university education with global perspectives. We have just finished some presentations by Dr. Kapadia and Dr. Kamali. Both presentations were very insightful. Higher education is such a big stuff. that talking about higher education, talking about university is like in Nepal we call Ati Samalo Jasto Anbale. It goes beyond what we see, what we know, what we think. However, it's important to be aware of the situation. For that purpose, this international conference is taking place, and we are happy to be with you because we are sharing our views with you and we are also learning from all of you. It's a very good opportunity for us. This time I am making some arguments about the development of technology. I am not being critical about technology. All what I am arguing for is let's use it with care. If we are careful, we can take benefit of it. If we are overwhelmed by the fantastic use of technology, it may lead us to a disaster without knowing what we are doing. That's the whole argument. For that purpose, this is blending science and technology with humanistic higher education for sustainable futures. Nepal can be a center for humanistic higher education. We cannot compete in science and technology with the whole world. But our background, our attitude, our belief in humanistic higher education or the way we are spending our life in Nepal can tell the rest of the world that this is also an important part of human life. This is the journey of higher education. It started from Nalanda, 5th century, Takshashila, 7th century, but both were destroyed. Nalanda and Takshashila started higher learning, not university, higher learning. But they are not counted in the global development of higher education because both were destroyed. In 10th century. Then if you go to the historical development of higher education, then Europeans and the Americans don't acknowledge Nalanda and Takshashila. But I am proud to believe that Nalanda and Takshashila gave ideas to European and American about higher education. Because in Nalanda, which is being renovated now, Nalanda University, during 5th to 10th century, there were facilities, teaching, teachers, classroom, residential facility for 10,000 teachers and students. The concept of having teachers and students in the university premises was generated or produced by Nalanda, but we don't acknowledge it. Then what happened? China was in higher education, Confucius, 4th century, Middle East, all university in 859 AD, and it is still functional. The world's first university was this Middle East University. It was established by Fatima, a princess. Then, after 10th century, Europe started talking about university during got ideas from Plato's academy and Aristotle's Lyceum. Based on Plato and Aristotle, the first university in Europe was established, University of Bologna. We tend to call it Bologna, but it is called Bologna. Then University of Paris in France and Oxford University in UK. In the present context, these three universities, Bologna, Paris and Oxford, are said to be the first universities. We will count the British University. This is what happens. We can discuss later. But my understanding is that Nalanda and Taksila gave the or generated or produced the idea of higher learning, because the basic idea behind it was academic exercises, logic, talking, arguing, disagreeing. But when you disagree with someone, you have to have an evidence, an argument, or proof. That's how I just started. Then the journey in the US, in America, Harvard University was established in 1636. First university in America. American higher institution led, just like our Dr. Thaparia and Dr. Yohan talked about research. Basically, American higher education led the research. Technology, academic activism, top ranked universities. This is where we thought we were making progress, but heading towards disaster. Let me come to this point. Because before Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher, Ronald Reagan in the US and Margaret Thatcher in Britain, higher education was free. Talented people were invited to study higher education. During Nalanda, Taksila, Oxford, all these universities offer higher education, almost free. The talented people would go to university for study, no matter whether they would pay or couldn't pay. The government or donors or other people would pay. But after Ronald Reagan and the Thatcher, the situation in higher education changed. Sorry. How do you do it? Yeah. I think this is where I'm basically based on when I put my ideas. Humanitarian, science, technology, and academic activities. After Reagan and Thatcher, universities were there, research studies were carried out. But in Ronald Reagan's time, what he said was, after all, higher education is profitable for individual also. When you make money after getting PhD, then you are also liable for this education. This concept was brought. Thatcher introduced the idea of private higher education. Then those who started studying higher education were required to pay. Now you also pay. Government will pay, you also pay. This is how paying while studying higher education started. But basically, higher education or this sort of research were based on human well-being. Higher education was built for the well-being of human being. Ideas, whatever they produce, we didn't expect higher education to produce something that would harm human beings. We didn't expect that. We are still aware of it, but things may take place that way or not. Even universities could produce something that may not contribute to human well-being because of the fact that universities are also under the influence of funding. That was the problem after 20th century. For Nehru, higher education was for humanism, tolerance, progress, adventure of ideas and the search for truth. Just like Gavan sir was talking about universities and doing several things. But universities in different countries, universities are said to be the engines of development. Because in the government, how many PhDs are accommodated? But in a university, there can be hundreds of PhD holders from top world universities. If they are brought together, then universities are said to be, are said not to be the problem creator. They are the solution giver. Universities are solution givers. As long as the government is prepared to call the university for certain problem, why don't you come and address our problem? That is possible. For example, who created or who developed the medicine for COVID-19 is Oxford University. I don't know what would have happened if we had not got that medicine because of COVID. It is Oxford University which produced vaccine for COVID. But universities are important. They are solution givers. They are not problems as long as they are managed well. Then higher education should contribute to combining the professional strength of young students and their humanistic insights. Higher education is not for skill, is not for only for technology. It is also for making those who get higher education human. But because of several other reasons, highly educated people can also do something wrong. That is not what higher education expects. The humanities for deepening our understanding of the human condition and our collective existence in this cosmos. We have collective existence. Then it is important for us to appreciate that I may be an individual, but I have collective existence. I cannot think of only myself. I should be, whatever I do, whatever I produce, should be evaluated on the basis of its impact on the rest of the world. That's what we have not been able to appreciate after the emergence or after the dominance of technology. How it is happening. Then what is humanism? Humanism involves debate, dialogue, discussion, expression, contemplation, empathy, creativity, critical thinking. All these are human attributes. When someone has higher education or got degree in universities, then he must be prepared for debate, dialogue, discussion, expression, contemplation, empathy, creativity, critical thinking. And this is how a person becomes human. Before science started having a dominant role in teaching and the research at the university level, humanities had influential coverage to shape up the human mind and soul in higher education. Because, as I said yesterday, the initial idea in higher education was based on science and the humanities. But when things moved much further, then science was led by technology. Whatever we have in this room, this technology, that internet, electricity or whatever facility we have could have been produced by our university. Just like internet, it was the product of Department of Physics. But now technology, internet has become a commercial tool. How to make maximum size of phone. We don't know how, what the size of money we send back to wherever from Nepal because of internet. We have been using it, but we have not got the feeling that it may be a difficult part for us to continue. Sorry. Science technology for utilitarian purpose. What happened was, until science was made by utility purpose or utilitarian purpose of getting benefit, science was doing good for human being. Humanism was involved in science because universities were not doing anything to do harm to human population, human being. But science has made remarkable achievements. All the progress, that all the comfort we have today, all this technology, were produced by university science. But what we see at present, making our lives comfortable, science. Transformation of a science from a quest for understanding, innovation and discovery, and science to technoscience become a tool for utilitarian gains blended with academic capitalism. The problem came when science was led by technology and the technology was led by money-making idea. People started thinking of how to get maximum benefit out of the technology I produce. And it's so powerful, technology is so powerful that it makes us tempted to grab whatever is available. We cannot stop getting access to it, no matter how expensive it is, no matter how difficult to get it, no matter how damaging it can have an effect on human beings. That's the point. This shift has advertently led to undermining the humanity, resulting in a technology. The problem was top universities. While science was led by technology and technology was involved or led by academic capitalism, academic practices to make money, then science was put aside, technology was used to a sort of unlimited access. Then the problem is, now we are becoming techno addict. I think I claim that, including myself, who are in the hall are techno addict. We cannot live without mobile. If mobile is left out for 10 minutes, I'm sure nothing is coming to my mobile. But I'm so worried. Yeah, but technology has made us techno addict. Even a simple person is a techno addict when he uses mobile. That's the problem. Sorry. The two great academic areas have the history of togetherness. First, science and the humanities were together. Because science was for fact, humanities was for feeling, empathy. Both disciplines were together to make us human beings. But however, hero of techno-science under the influence of academic capitalism and globalization marginalized humanities in the way it was taught and research. Because if we go to Harvard University, Oxford University, or most Chinese universities and British and European and American universities, and look at their research works for a year, the 90% funds were used for science and technology, and only 10 or 5% funds for humanities. I don't think that there are big research studies being carried out by Harvard and Oxford in the field of humanities. But they are engaged, they are spending a huge amount of money. They get from the government, from the corporate houses to do research in science and technology, but not in humanities. While universities stopped carrying out important research studies in the field of humanities, then what are these universities for? Are they for money? Are they for only science and technology? Are they for humanities? Are they for humanism? That's the question that being raised globally. This process influenced universities which from the birth of 20th century served as a place and an institution for generation of new and useful knowledge for human well-being. That's where until 20th century universities were for producing new knowledge. Universities' strength to produce new knowledge made them the best creation of second millennium. There is no any institution which can be compared with the concept of university, because it is the university which produces new knowledge. It is not like producing same knowledge every year. Every time a university is research comes up with new knowledge. This knowledge has been now led by technology, not by humanities. That's the problem that we have. The entry of the concept of utilitarian use of science along with the idea of globalization and new liberalism brought a new way in the way that scientific research and innovations are manipulated by the use of technoscience for economic gain. Now universities, Dr. Kewali and Dr. Thaparia were talking about higher education and training and research. I was expecting them to talk about universities, research, teaching and application of research findings. That research could go to collaboration with industries. When university started collaborating with industries, they started getting the taste of money making. Because universities' research output was handed over to an industry, but for collaboration for industry, university collaboration, university started working with an industry. Now university noticed that there was money in the world. Why Ronald Reagan and Thatcher stopped full funds to university started making money and they gave the idea of how to make maximum money. This is how things are taking place these days. Apparently the science from its worldwide frame for innovations and discoveries was dragged to a narrow scope of technoscience with the motive of getting financial resources, power, control and domination. Now universities are led by the idea of how to create new technology which can make lot of money, which can give power and which can lead me to dominate the whole world. This idea is coming now. That is how even top research universities face the challenge of achieving a harmonious balance between equipping their students with technical skills and rigorous methodologies. Now universities are losing that ground. University industry collaboration and entrepreneurship. Now there are many universities in the world which have their own industry, entrepreneurial universities. Universities' task is to create knowledge and give it to industry. But now universities, for the purpose of making money, started establishing industries or becoming entrepreneurship, turning human beings toward the greedy world for power and money. Now higher education was supposed to make us humans without greed. But now universities are teaching us to grab money, to grab power, which may lead us towards dehumanizing. Turning university into enterprises competing for capital accumulation, business into knowledge producers looking for new findings that can be turned into profitable commodities. Now, universities are looking for profit. Let me give you an example. If a university can have students from Korea, Japan, they may not take Nepali students because they pay high tuition fees and we cannot. While universities are driven towards money making, that they will look for rich people, rich countries, high tuition fee payers, but not people who cannot do that. Then while universities look for profit, then the world is going to witness a sort of disaster. The summary of the first part is this: the increasing use of technology and entrepreneurship in higher education for economic benefits, grabbing power and victory without much consideration of humanistic insights and intellectualism is distancing humans from being human, empathetic, to become techno-addict. Now we are losing empathy, we are getting temptation. The profit-oriented behavior of higher education has become the reigning ideology of our era that respects the market and removes all the elements that make us human beings. That's the problem. Now the second part is, what is university? Actually, this John Henry Newman's idea of university is the popular idea of university. What it means is, a university is a place where the students come from every quarter for every kind of knowledge, a place for the communication and the circulation of thought by means of personal intercourse. But the whole idea is, a university is there to make students listen to his living voice. Direct teaching, direct penetration of teacher's living voice into students' ear. That's how learning takes place. When teacher's voice comes to our ear, then it triggers our thinking, learning. But this is not going to happen anymore because of technology. Face-to-face teaching is the best. Well, best. It is some kind of thing that we cannot replace. But what is happening is,
You can continue.
5 minutes? Yes. The face-to-face teaching. Face-to-face teaching, we are losing face-to-face teaching because of technology. We have no connection with teachers in higher education because technology is our teacher, is our professor, is our researcher. Higher learning through technology, online learning, virtual classroom learning apps, media, all these items are replacing teachers. The students don't bother talking to teachers. They use all this stuff. The negative influences, over-reliance on technology, decreased face-to-face interaction, impersonal experience, loss of cultural context, lack of human interaction, decreased empathy and emotional connection. Now students have lost their emotional connections, empathy. They don't care who is teaching. He looks at his mobile. Then all these deprive learners from human touch, growing humanistic feelings. This is the threat for sustainable futures of human civilization. If technology continues doing it and we don't care, then we all will be like any robot. We will be losing human sense, human sensitivity, empathy. We will be like a technology produced robot or some kind of stuff. An example of what happened was, during COVID, students were in the residence hall in the university, but they didn't come to the lecture hall because students knew that the lecture would be uploaded immediately after the lecture is finished, and the students can have access to lecture anytime. Or should he go to the lecture hall? What made it possible? Technology. Now most lectures are uploaded and students don't bother going to the lecture hall and listen to the lecture because he can have access to the lecture anytime, either way he likes. Having coffee and then listening to mobile or something. Why bothering going to lecture hall and spending time there? That's the problem. Because this technology, convenience, flexibility, comfort. But the negative things is, the product is, the effect is, the death of human empathy is one of the oldest and most telling signs of a culture about to fall into barbarism. Then the present students who do not have human feeling, humanity, don't care who is coming and going. Strategic use of. My point is, all what we can do is, we can make young learners aware of its negative impacts on them and educate them. I am not against technology. I am using technology. I am not against it. But my point is, let's use technology with care. For that purpose, humanistic ideas is important. Very important to expose the learners to interdisciplinary ways of solving problems with creative ideas. For that purpose, humanizing higher learning involves creating a more engaging, interactive and meaningful experience. Emphasis on classroom lectures to penetrating teachers' voices to trigger a students' mental processing. This is important. Humanistic approach. These are the humanistic approach in our teaching. My point is, Nepal, just like our colleagues were talking about globalization, it is important to bring students to Nepal from other countries, other universities, for internationalization, for learning, also for making money, whatever. But Nepal has a very strong base on humanities, humanistic approach. Our Rishimuni produced knowledge in the bank of rivers. We have strong humanity. Then if we really produce, if we really challenge the Western world that your technology is damaging the world, your technology needs our humanistic approach, we can fight for that. We can make them understand what we are talking about, and we can make them follow what we are arguing for. In absence of humanistic thoughts, humanistic feelings, humanistic approach, things are going in the wrong direction. This is the conclusion. This is my point. Humanistic approach. Finally, let me give you an example in Nepali. Perhaps we can share Nepali. मैले चाहिँ के देखिराखेको छु भने यो अहिलेको बच्चाहरू असाध्यै समस्यामा छ। हामी यो समस्या छ भन्न सक्दैन। टेक्नोलोजी भइसकेको छ, बच्चा भन्यो भने घरबाट हिँड्दा भन्दा अनि डराएर उसो बस्नु पर्दैन। यो समस्या चाहिँ कहाँनिर छ तपाईँलाई के उदाहरण दिन्छु भने यो एउटा डक्टर कहाँ हामी स्वास्थ्य परीक्षणको लागि जान्छौँ, उसको लेटेस्ट टेक्नोलोजीले हाम्रो स्वास्थ्यको बारेमा सबै परीक्षण गर्छ र के औषधि लेख्ने भन्ने कुरा त्यो रिपोर्टको आधारमा डाक्टरलाई थाहा भइसक्यो। तर डाक्टर दुई प्रकारका छन्। एउटा चाहिँ रिपोर्टको भरमा औषधि लेख्छ, दिन्छ बिहान ल औषधि खाऊ भन्छ। अर्को डाक्टरले चाहिँ सबै कुरो त्यही हो गर्ने, तर भन्छ तपाईँको बुवालाई कस्तो थियो पहिला, यो रोग ठिक थिएन, आमालाई तपाईँको मामापट्टिको अथवा तपाईँको परिवारका अरू सदस्य, उसलाई ह्युमन टच दिएर त्यो औषधि दियो भने त्यो औषधिको इफेक्ट राम्रो हुन्छ भन्छ। अब जान्ने डाक्टर टाइम छैन भन्छ अनि लेखिदिन्छ, के लेख्नु हुन्छ बिरामीले विश्वासै हुँदैन। त्यसबाट साइन्स र ह्युमेनिटिजमा अहिलेको हाम्रो आर्गुमेन्ट चाहिँ बेसिकली के हो भने we cannot challenge science. Science is science. It's everywhere. It's the most dominant discipline in the world, technology. But science cannot explain human life fully. It can give, explain our blood test or all such organs. Maybe science can explain our life 90%, but the left 10% should be left to humanity. In absence of 10%, this 90% will go wrong. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Please put your hands together.
Suitable for application in SMC. These are the purpose of my study. And my statement of problems arise from community campus are strongly to remain financially sustainable.
In second class of BSc or first class, it is very, very interesting thing. And exactly it is not my field, even though there is some pioneer physicists, they may ask some queries, but I'm in lenses here and even in a fiber. What is the difference between the application of this compound and glasses to prepare the lens?
Idea already you generated. On the basis of the 6 idea, you are going to explore 6 sentences. That is called if I were up. In one part, we are engaged in creative writing, and on the other part, can you tell me which grammatical item can we teach from this, this statement, this sentence? Which grammatical item we can teach from here? Your learners, can you imagine? It's very easy, right? So let's apply in our classroom. Let's try this. Okay. So now let's go to the elements of structure in a narrative text, because the
while our teacher is teaching taught us. So friction inspired, you can see here. Here are elements of the story: character, trait, theme, setting, objects. Including all these kinds of elements of the story, I create this fiction square. We can do practically this fiction square here. So what should I do now?
Okay, that's it. What you're gonna do is now